Welcome to my world, where you will experience an atmosphere of love, relevant subjects, and motivation. So let's talk about things that matter. What matters to you matters to me. How are you feeling? What are you feeling? Are you able to identify those feelings or those emotions that you feel? That's what I want to talk to you about for the next several weeks. My name is Henry Harris. Thank you for watching. You are watching the Brother Henry and You Show. And I'm just so honored to be able to come to talk to you about a subject that's very dear to my heart. You know, I love to talk about practical things. I love to talk about things that will help people heal, that will help people on their journey, and to cope. And I believe we all need somebody in our lives that can help us in those areas in our lives. So I appreciate you so much for taking this opportunity to watch. I've been waiting with such anticipation to be with you, and not only to be with you, but to come and talk to you about emotional awareness. Oftentimes we feel a certain way, or when someone asks us, how are you feeling? What are you feeling? Oftentimes we don't know how to talk about how we feel or what we're feeling, because we don't know how to identify the emotions that we're feeling. Well, today is a very important subject because we want to start with how you feel is important. Did you know that? Not anybody else. We're talking about you. How you feel is important. But we're living in a society that we have been almost programmed to believe that your feelings doesn't matter. Your emotions doesn't matter. What you have to say is insignificant. But I want to come and debunk that belief or that myth that how you feel does matter. What you are feeling does matter. The emotions that you feel, it matters. And I feel in my heart today that today's message will help you not only to discover what you're feeling and how you're feeling, but also be able to identify those emotions that you are feeling. I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know the emotions that I'm feeling. I don't know how to express those emotions. And when I try to express those emotions, I feel like that I'm being turned down. I feel like that how I feel is not important to that individual. Well, it's not really about if it's important to them. My question to you today, is it important to you? How you feel about yourself, about life, about anything in general should always revolve around you first. How you feel matters, and how you feel is important. We're talking about every feeling that you have, every emotion that you have. It's important. So I want to talk about something that I feel needs to be discussed, and that is emotional awareness. That's going to be our series subject for the next 4 weeks. Let's start out by talking about the definition of emotional awareness. Emotional awareness is the ability to recognize and make sense of not just your emotions, but also those other high levels of emotional awareness. Means you can learn from your feelings quickly. Now, let me give you an example. If you feel angry, you can reflect on why this is so and make decisions that can help you deal with that anger. If you feel sad, you will reflect to what made you sad and look for ways or creative ways, if you have an imaginary mind, to cope or to deal with that sadness. I am a firm believer that it is not my responsibility to tell you how to deal with your emotions. It is not my responsibility to tell you how to express those emotions, but I do feel like it's my responsibility to help you to identify those emotions. And then you as an adult or as an individual can come up with ways and how to either cope with those feelings that you may have, reflect back to why you're feeling. Because let me tell you something, if you are feeling a certain way, there's a reason why you feel that way. If you feel sad, reflect back, why am I sad? If you feel depressed, all these are emotions. Why am I feeling depressed? If you feel angry, if you feel isolated, if you feel happy, why? So there were a couple words that really stood out to me, and I want you to notice these two words here. It says to make sense of, and number two, to recognize. A lot of times, the emotions and feelings that we may have or feel, because emotions, they are a part of you. You can't get rid of them. And your emotions are good, by the way. But oftentimes when we feel a certain way, we're not able to make sense of it. I do feel a certain way, Henry, but I don't know how to make sense of these emotions that I'm feeling right now. Not only can I not make sense of the emotions that I'm feeling, it's hard for me to recognize what I am feeling. So this is important. And sometimes we can't make sense of our feelings or even recognize what we are feeling because we are not emotionally aware of what we are feeling. And that's why we're going to talk about this today, because how you feel is important. Here's a quote that I really like. Honoring our feelings isn't about self-absorbed or being arrogant. It's really about being true to ourselves, honest about how we feel, and willing to engage in authentic conversations with other people. There's nothing prideful or arrogant about honoring how you feel or how someone else feels. It gives you an opportunity to not only be authentic or real to yourself, but also to be authentic and real to those that are around you. So some people find it rather challenging to honor and recognize their feelings. Can we say it today? Say, today I will honor, and say, today I will recognize how I'm feeling. Because that is very important. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? And do you know how to express those emotions effectively where they're not hurting you or someone else? So the major key to emotional awareness is, first of all, being able to understand two things. Number one, I feel a certain way. And number two, what is it exactly am I feeling? How many times have you been told that, well, I feel a certain way? Then you ask the person, what are you feeling? They can't tell you. They can't tell you the emotions that they feel. Sometimes we just don't know what we're feeling. But it's important to be able to identify those feelings. If you do feel a certain way, that's number one. You got to say to yourself, I do feel a certain way, but Henry, to be honest, I really don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know what this emotion is that I feel on the inside of me. Ask yourself, what is it that I am feeling? This helps us to identify what we are feeling. So when we feel a certain way, are you able to identify with that emotion? That's very important. You may want to write that down. If you're watching me right now and you're feeling a certain way, or let's say you're in an argument with someone and certain emotions begin to arise, what are you feeling? Are you able to identify that emotion? Can you say, I am angry? Can you say, I am devastated? Can you say, I am sad? And also, is that the right emotion that you're feeling? Because sometimes we get our emotions confused as far as labels go. There may be times where you may feel sad, but what you're really feeling, you may be happy. You never know. But that's why it's important to recognize your feelings, to be able to identify with those feelings and express those feelings effectively. So, did you know that you are made of feelings and emotions? Did you know that? You are made of feelings and emotions. Did you remember what I said earlier? I said emotions and feelings are a part of you. There's nothing wrong with your feelings and there's nothing wrong with your emotions. I often think about a scripture where it says everything that God made was good. Well, if everything God made is good, that means that your emotions and how you feel is good. So emotions or feelings we'll consider anger, and I'm going to give you the definition of each one. Anger is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. You have sadness. That's affected by unhappiness or grief, sorrowful or mournful. Another emotion is called happiness, a sense of well-being, joy, or contentment. Another emotion is fear, an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or threat. You have anxiety. That's a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, eagerness. You have guilt. You experience guilt when you feel bad about something wrong or committing some kind of offense. You have another emotion. It's called confusion, which is a lack of understanding, uncertainty, bewildered, unclear in one's mind. You also have pain. That's an emotion, which is the physical suffering of discomfort caused by illness or injury. You have disappointment, which is sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hope or expectation. Can you fit in one of those categories today? Are there times where you feel sad, or you feel angry, or you feel happy? Are there times where you feel fearful, uncertain? Are there times where you feel confused? Are there times where you feel pain or disappointment, guilt? These are all emotions, and it's okay that you feel that way. What did I say earlier about honoring your feelings and honoring your emotions? That is connected to being authentic, not only with other people, but with yourself. It's okay to say, I'm angry. It's okay to say, I'm sad. It's okay to say, I'm happy. It's okay to say, I'm depressed. It's okay to say those things because what happens is it just shows and proves that you are honest with yourself. And not only are you honest with yourself, you feel a certain way. You were able to identify that you were feeling a certain way. And not only were you able to identify that you were feeling a certain way, you're able to express that effectively. So it's important not only to identify that emotion, but think of some creative ways to deal with the emotions that you're feeling. And here's a side note. Everyone will not respond the same way. Let me give you an example. Let's say sadness for an example. I may go into isolation. In other words, If I feel sad, I may not want to be bothered with you. I may just want to be alone. I may just want to be by myself. Whereas somebody else may just go pick up a book and read and sit down by a waterfall just to clear their mind. That's what I told you earlier. I will never tell you how to deal with your emotions, but I can give you some ways or kind of pick your brain in ways to help you either cope with that emotion or either to help you identify that emotions. So everybody doesn't respond the same way to the emotions or the feelings that they are having. And this is very good to have the ability to deal with how you feel. I will never tell a person how to handle their emotions or feelings, but if the end result of how you feel leads to you inflicting harm to yourself and others, I do feel obligated to discourage you from that mindset or that motive. Because sometimes when people feel angry, they do bad things. Sometimes when people feel a lot of anxiety and so forth, that leads them to do things to harm themselves. I never want you to feel that way. Always feel the need to reach out to someone, but your feelings have to be important to you first. Because if how you feel is important to you and there's something that you really want to express and get off your shoulders, there's no force in this world or on the earth that can stop you from reaching out to me or reaching out to a friend. Hey, I'm feeling a certain way, but I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm feeling some heavy emotions right now. This gives you an opportunity to help people to identify what they're feeling. And not only that, be able to resonate or connect with that person. Ask them, what are you feeling? Oh, I felt that way. In what ways that help you get through what you're feeling or the emotions that you are feeling? There are many ways that we can help people to discover their worth. Not only their worth, but also help them to realize that, hey, emotions are a part of you. Emotions are not a bad thing. Sometimes we sweep it under the rug. We don't want to talk about it. We hide it because we feel like that our emotions are not important. Or we feel like that nobody will listen. There's always somebody that will listen to you. There's always somebody that has an ear. And there's always someone that wants to help you. So take into account that how you feel and learn and understand that emotions are a part of you and your life. How you feel is important. So it's important to deal with these emotions head on. That is so very important. Again, don't sweep them under the rug. Don't say nobody cares how I feel. How you feel must be important. What did I say? To you first. Not to the world, not to your husband, not to your wife, not to your friends or associates or co-workers. How I feel must be important to me first. And if it's important to me, I want to dig into that area of my life. And I want to look at ways and how I can get better, no matter what that emotion may be. Did you enjoy that? I hope you did. And I hope it really helped you, because I want you to know that how you feel is important to me. I want to know how you feel. I want to know what's on your mind. I want to know and help you to identify those emotions that you may have, because these are things that all of us deal with. So next week, we're going to talk about the difference between sympathy and empathy. And that's going to be really good. So make sure you tune in. Tell a friend to tune into the Brother Henry and You show. And I really believe it's really going to benefit you and help you in a powerful and transformative way. I'll see you next week as we go and continue our series on emotional awareness.
Hi, if you like what you've seen today, Be sure to connect with Brother Henry at www.facebook.com/The Brother Henry and You Show. And also be sure to check out and subscribe to his YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/Henry Harris 100. We hope that this has been a blessing to you, and we hope to hear from you soon. Keep watching, because what matters to you matters to Brother Henry.